Hello, I come to you from the last snowy day we'll probably have in Chicago for a while, and I, on this day, have just received a care package from Dr. Robyn Smith of This Blog's Neat on the YouTubes, and in this case of Rum et al., a skunk works of sorts over in Day of Night, is that it? Yeah, Day of Night Distillery in LA. Currently making some of the most interesting rums in the United States, in my humble opinion. So this is rum for science nerds of a sort. It's essentially, she's using more or less off-the-shelf ingredients, off-the-shelf molasses that keeps spilling over at the UPS places where she's shipping them through. Off-the-shelf molasses, basic pot still, and it's just a matter of seeing what you can do with those things when you play around with them a little bit. So she started out with Baseline, which was long-fermented, basic pot distilled molasses rum that I liked a lot. And then there was the first of the variable series, Dunder, which was also double pot distilled, but had been fermented with dunder, with stillage from the previous distillation. And I liked that even more. This is where it gets a little bit crazy, though, because Tailspin here, one of my favorite cartoon shows as a young man, Tailspin is basically her attempt to recreate a double retort pot still without any retorts. So I have to explain what that means. Okay, so if you're watching this, I assume you know how pot distillation works. You got yourself a big old pot still. You load it up with your wash, which is low alcohol. Give it some gentle heat. Alcohol, more alcohol boils off than water. It condenses, and then you're left with something of much higher alcohol than what you started with, but not necessarily all that high, depending on what you're on the nature of the still, on the strength of what you're starting with, lots of little details. You're probably getting something in 30-40% alcohol, that kind of range, with a single pot distillation, batch distillation. So what do you do to get that up? Well, you can put a second pot still in there and just load that up again with the spirit you just distilled. Do another run. All this takes a lot of time and it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. So what if you wanted to do one distillation, still batch distillation? We aren't talking about a column, a continuous distillation where you can kind of just endlessly feed wash into the thing. No. We're still talking about batch distillation here. What if you could do one batch distillation that got you an alcohol level of 70-80%? That's where retorts come in. Retorts are not additional pot stills. They are daisy-chained from the line arm of the first the pot still you're starting with. But they are not themselves pot stills. Essentially what they are is they're sealed containers of fluid, of liquid. What liquid? I mean, that depends on what you're trying to do. A lot of the times you could use water. Why not? But more commonly in the Caribbean, particularly in Jamaica, and Robyn's a huge Jamaica fan, you would use tails, that kind of grungy, low ABV stuff that comes off of still at the very end of a distillation cycle. You keep your tails instead of throwing them away or whatever. You keep your tails, you put them in your retort, and then what happens? What do you do with this stuff? Well, you heat it gently or more aggressively. I mean, there's lots of things you can play around with here. You could have a mix of water and tails. You could do lots of things. But in any case, the spirit that comes off the pot still does not condense. It goes straight into the retort as a vapor, and it bubbles through your fluid, right? What the heck does that do? Well, okay, so you have a couple of things happening, and I'm not going to be able to describe all the complexity because I'm not a chemical engineer. I'm I'm a layman at the very best. But what you're going to get is you're going to get pressurization of your vapor by the fluid, and you're also going to get heat exchange. Like vapor gets cooler, the liquid gets hotter. So what does this do? Well, you get a preferential, you get a little bit of condensation of your vapor. It never really totally condenses as you would do with like a traditional second pot distillation or a triple distillation, whatever. You don't get condensation, or at least full condensation. You get partial condensation that is preferential to the water because boiling points. So a lot of the water condenses into your retort fluid. At the same time, because the retort fluid is being heated up by the hot-ass vapor, some of the alcohols in the tails are also coming out. They are also being evaporated and going out of the system. And then and what comes out of the retort, thanks to this process, is a much higher alcohol vapor than what you started with. And then if you're in Jamaica, if you're doing a double retort system, it goes into a second retort. You basically repeat the process. Although you can change everything you want to. That's how retorts work. You don't actually get condensation, or at least full condensation. You get partial condensation of the water contents, and at the same time, for fun, you're boiling off some of the tails in the retorts. So that's more or less how these things are supposed to work. But now, Robyn does not have any retorts over at Day of Night. No. So what she is doing with this is she is trying to recreate some of the effects of a retort system using a single pot still. Just using the basics of a tiny pot still you could fit in your garage. So she is doing a first distillation of her dunder and molasses. So we're still using dunder for fermentation. So far as I remember, I will check it below. I will put it below. So you're getting distillation as normal, as you did with dunder clap. But then you're taking that spirit, and instead of just throwing it directly back in the still for another run, no. You are going to mix it with tails from previous distillations. And also, just to bring the ABV down a little bit, dunder. Robyn is just adding a whole bunch of dunder. And then this mix of low wine, she calls it, first distillation, tails from previous distillations, and dunder, that gets distilled. Collect that, and then you mix that again with more tails and more dunder, and you do it a third time. So that is the process of making this. It sounds super duper fun, and I'm eager to smell and taste it. I mean, it's not. Of course, Robyn is aware that this is not. It's not a double. It's not actually like doing a double retort thing, right? But you are getting a very good chance of pulling fun stuff out of the tails and to some extent out of the dunder. So it sounds fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. Interesting. It's more bright than I remember Dunderclap or Baseline being. There's a lot of citrus on this. Orange. Tangerine even. Is the mulberry that I loved so much on those previous ones still there? A little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit of like a dried mulberry thing, but it's much more pulled back in favor of a lot of these sort of tropical elements, the tangerine, a little mango. Hints of pineapple. A lot of tropical stuff. What is that? Like something appley, but it's not quite apple. It's almost like apple like a Jolly Rancher or something, like an apple candy. There's an herbaceous element to this as well. There's a couple of like twigs and like weeds you pull out of your garden. white pepper. What is that? Sage, maybe? Maybe some sage and parsley. White tea. More citrus. Lemon. I should explain. So, I don't think I explained what these particular options are. So, Robyn offers these two in two versions. This is the one at 49%, Tailspin, and for maximum craziness, you've also got the still strength version at, God, what is this? 75.8. So, this is 49. That one is in the 70s. Yeah, very, very, very bright. I mean, and the fun part of this is it does not smell like anything else I can remember sticking my nose into before. It does not smell like Jamaica or Barbados or, really anything. It smells like its own thing, and that's why this whole series has been so darn fun. I mean, aside from just the experimental, sciencey aspect of it and the kind of like off-the-shelf nature of the thing, it smells like its own deal on the palate. The production of this is a little bit insane, but you taste it and you can see the not the logic in it, but you can appreciate that it's worked. Like, this has worked. The mouth presence on this is fantastic. Like, this is just I think Baseline in particular had a little bit of problems with presence. Like, it was kind of like there, and then it kind of, flew off like Patrick Swayze in Ghost a little bit. It just disappeared on you. This is not. This kind of holds on for a long time and really kind of shows authority on the palate in a way that is very impressive. What I'm getting on the palate of this, which I wasn't really getting so much on the nose, is a floral component. There's a big bunch of wildflowers, a little bit of potpourri in there as well. Key lime peel, orange again, orange peel, but also like bitterness, like just orange pith, the white stuff. White pepper. A certain minerality. A couple of wet stones, if you like. Lemon peel as well. The mulberry is back. There's a little bit of mulberry in here, mixed in with hints of pineapple, mango, again. And that kind of twiggy, herbaceous thing, that little like twigs and weeds aspect of this, that's in here. Sage, oregano. What is that? It's some kind of tea thing, like an herbal tea. Yeah, maybe. Like, imagine like a mix of white tea and maybe some oolong with some, hippie medicinal stuff sprinkled in there. Slight chalkiness, which is nice. I'm enjoying the chalk. Yeah, what's really impressive on this is the mouth presence. Like, this is tickling the back of my throat. Great mouth length. It's really the chalk and the bitter sour orange thing is really just covering my whole mouth. And after I swallow, it sticks around. Like this is very, very good rum. I'll give this a squirt of water. I'll come back to it because we all know what I actually care about is the 75% one. So we're going to move straight onto that. 2 squirts. All right, here's the same thing. Hot off the still. 75.8 was it? Yeah. On the nose. So these have tended to be a little bit quieter on the nose with the still strength version. And this is also the case here, but it's like there's an ethanol note to this. I'm not going to lie. Like this is hot, hot, hot. That's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, you hand this to me, and I might think like Polish rectified spirit would be my first thought, because yeah, a lot of what I'm getting, I'm getting ethanol. I'm getting little hints of lemon peel and orange peel, white pepper. No, there's some twigginess coming through. There's a little bit of that twiggy, herbaceous thing. But overall, much more nippy and much less expressive than the 49% version. That being said, we're going to add water to this in a minute. And at 75%, the nippiness is kind of a given, isn't it? It's not that expressive because everything is still in solution, right? We're going to fix that in a minute. On the palate, though, Hail Mary, full of grace. Ooh. On the palate, all is well. I mean, it's pushing, closer to 80% alcohol than anything else. So it's a bit of a brute and very, very nippy, but yeah, the structure is there. Chalk and pepper and orange peel bitterness behaves. I mean, on the palate, except for the additional nip and a little bit more concentration on the arrival, it behaves a lot like the 49% version. Good mouth presence, good length. My tonsils are tickled, and it holds on for a while. Again, I have to say, like similar notes, but more subdued. Not as subdued as the nose, because the nose is very subdued on this. But palate is a little bit like that too. Twigs, weeds, herbs. Same mix of herbs. A little bit of citrus. Hints of dried mango in the background. Chalk, white tea. It's very yummy, but I gotta be honest with you. At this point, the 49% version is winning this. But let's add some water. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, it's coming around. Oh, damn, that's good. 7. Oh. I mean, still strength spirits, rums in particular, are they're like that friend you hang out with who half the time they're a ton of fun and really interesting and really weird, and the other half they're just kind of a pain in the ass to have to deal with. It's kind of the case here too. Oh. Because it's so beautiful when you nail it. But it's so much more of a fight to get this thing down from 76% alcohol, basically, to comfortable drinking strength. There we go. Yeah, this is a good batch. It's completely bonkers in terms of how she made it, but this is a good batch. All right, back to the 49% version. Let's see where this is. Interesting. This is almost like a, what is that? Like a, it's going to sound crazy, but there's like a wet forest kind of element to this now. So where it's as if the weeds and the twigs from before had kind of just turned into a whole, like, you know, you're in a forest and it rained 15 minutes ago. It's that kind of smell. So like wet wood, wet earth, wet leaves. But the fruit is still there. Mango. The tea is still there. I am getting a little bit of the chalk on the nose now. White pepper still. I mean, most of the development, yeah, is in terms of that kind of like musty forest, you know, post-rainfall forest thing on the palate. Similar energy. Ooh. The pepper kicks up. A lot more black pepper on the palate when you add water. A little bit more chalk too. Flavors, I mean, the flavors kind of are the same as what it was neat, except, again, there's a kind of general sense of, I don't know, damp wood, damp forest, something like that. Damp leaves. The pepper kicks up. There's maybe half a step up in the mouthfeel, but if anything, I think the finish is actually a hair bit shorter now that I've added water. Mouth length might be a hair bit shorter too. So I don't know. If I had a third glass, I would re-pour this. Just check again. But initial impression, I think I like this a little bit more neat. I think circa 50% is the sweet spot for this. Oh, but it's a very good rum. What am I going to score this? Oh, geez. Can I knock it down to a minus for the... No, I'm not. This is an 86. 86 points for the Rum et al. Tailspin. Well worth a grab. But maybe don't add water to it. I liked it better without it. All right, moving on to the still strength version. More expressive on the nose, this one, with water. Yeah, now we're getting the mango. What is that? And there's almost like a little bit of a snow pea thing at craving. What is that? Yeah. There's still a little bit of damp forest, but there is like a distinctive snow pea thing happening. These are so fun. Like they don't taste like any other rums out there. And that's awesome. Like, what do I want from American rum? I want lots of things, but at a bare minimum, I want you to be able to pick it up and say, oh, this is not from Jamaica. This is not from Haiti or Martinique. This is kind of its own thing. This is making me say that. A little bit of a baked plantain thing now, too. This is wild stuff. Okay, there's chalk, too. Lots of chalk. Pepper. Fun. Citrus. Lots of citrus. Tons of citrus. And intermingling with the chalk. So, take peel a key lime, peel a tangerine, peel a lemon, throw them all in there, cover them with chalk dust. That's kind of what this smells like. This one's better with water. Oh my God. Out of nowhere, there is a really intense baking molasses note, like light molasses, just right in the center of the palate. Maybe even like cane syrup. That I was not expecting that. It wasn't anywhere in the rest of the tasting notes, but it's here now. Yeah, I'm drinking grandma's brand molasses straight out of the bottle. And I'm chasing it with black pepper and mulberries. And I'm enjoying it. It's a completely different set of notes, but I'm digging this. No, the citrus is still there. The chalk is still there. There's that kind of twigginess. So maybe it's mulberries where you haven't pulled off the stems and stuff. And yeah, the finish is terrific. It's way better than, this is on the whole way better than it was neat. Way, way better. And actually quite different from the 49% version. Is it better though? It's a little better. It's a little better, just by a shoulder. I'll call this an 86 plus. 86 plus for the still strength version of Tailspin. And yeah, that is the video. Go check out Robyn's stuff. She's doing some great things on the YouTube, and she's distilling, in my opinion, some of the most interesting rums in the U.S. right now. She, along with a couple of others, is one of the secret queens of American rum, and she deserves your interest. Thank you for watching. 86 points for the 49% Tailspin, 86 plus for the still strength. This is more of a pain in the ass. In this case, in the past, I really need to finally buy one of these and just, I don't know, make a trip to California or something, but between these two, I might actually buy the standard one. I don't think it's that far behind, and as something to just grab and drink, it's a little bit easier, even if it's maybe a half a step down. Thanks for watching, and cheers.